You know, people think growing old means you stop being surprised by betrayal. They think wrinkles make you wise enough to see it coming. But I was 69 years old when my heart broke in a way I never imagined. And it all started with a house, my house. My name is Lisa. I'm 69 years old, a retired nurse, and for most of my life, my biggest pride was my daughter, Emma. After my husband, David, passed away 10 years ago, Emma became my whole world. I lived in a small but cozy home on the edge of town, roses climbing the porch, the smell of fresh pies drifting out the kitchen window, and a heart full of memories. When Emma got married to a man named Eric, I thought my life was finally at peace. He was charming, polite, and came from what he called a well-established family. I thought that meant security and stability for my daughter. But what I didn't know was that well-established also meant controlling. When Emma told me she and Eric wanted to buy their own house but were short on funds, I did what any loving mother would do, I gave her mine. I told her, "Sweetheart, you take the house. I'll move into a small apartment. You start your family here. Make your own memories." She cried, hugged me, and said, "Mom, I don't deserve you." But I smiled and said, "That's what mothers are for." It was the proudest moment of my life, until it became the most painful. For the first few months, things seemed perfect. Emma sent pictures of her garden, her cooking, and even the new curtains she'd picked. But slowly, the calls became fewer. The messages shorter. Then, almost nothing. I told myself she must be busy. That's what we mothers do, we excuse the silence because the alternative hurts too much. Then, one night, around Christmas, I got a strange call. It was Emma, her voice trembling. "Mom," she whispered, "can you come tomorrow morning?" That was it. No explanation. Just fear in her voice. So I packed a small bag, took the first train the next morning, and went to my old house, the one I'd given her. When I got there, something felt wrong before I even knocked. The lawn, my beautiful lawn that I'd cared for over 30 years, was overgrown. The porch was cluttered with muddy shoes. And when I knocked, it wasn't Emma who opened the door. It was a large man I'd never seen before. He looked me up and down and said, "Who are you?" I blinked. "I'm Lisa. This is my daughter's house." He laughed. Actually laughed. "Your daughter's?" "No, ma'am. This is our family home now." I frowned. "Excuse me? Where's Emma?" He shrugged. "Inside. But she's busy." Then I heard it, a sound I'll never forget. My daughter's voice, muffled, crying. I pushed past him before he could stop me and stormed into the living room. And what I saw made my blood run cold. The house was packed, strangers everywhere. Eric's parents, his brother, his sister-in-law, and even their children. My furniture was gone. My walls were repainted in dull beige. The scent of my home, cinnamon and lavender, was replaced with cheap cologne and greasy food. And there, in the kitchen, was my daughter. She was sitting at the table, tears streaming down her face, while Eric's mother barked orders at her. "Emma!" I gasped. She looked up, eyes red. "Mom!" she whispered, voice trembling. Before I could reach her, Eric stepped between us. "Mom, what are you doing here?" he said, his tone flat, almost mocking. "What do you mean, what am I doing here?" I snapped. "This is Emma's home." His mother scoffed. "No, dear. Our family owns it now. Eric's name is on the deed." My stomach twisted. "What did you just say?" She smirked. "Your daughter signed it over. Family trust and all that." I turned to Emma, horrified. "Tell me that's not true." But she couldn't even meet my eyes. Later, I learned what had happened. When I'd given Emma the house, I transferred the deed fully in her name, a mother's blind trust. But Eric had convinced her to combine assets for their marriage. Had taken her to a lawyer, his lawyer, and manipulated her into signing the property over to his family's marital trust. In simple words, my daughter's home, my home, no longer belonged to her. Now it belonged to them. And worse, Eric's family had already moved in, treating Emma like a servant in her own house. She cooked, cleaned, and stayed quiet. When she protested, they said, "It's our house now. You're just lucky we let you stay." I felt rage bubbling in my chest. But I kept my voice calm, because revenge, real revenge, is quiet at first. That night, they told me I could sleep on the couch if I wanted to stay a few days. I smiled sweetly and said, "Thank you." But I didn't come to stay. I came to end this. While everyone slept, I sat on the couch and thought. All my years as a nurse, all my experience reading people, I knew manipulation when I saw it. And I knew one thing for sure, Eric and his family had underestimated me. They thought I was just an old woman with no fight left. But they were wrong. The next morning, I pretended to be polite. I made breakfast, chatted with his mother, and listened, carefully. Every insult, every cruel comment, every admission of how they'd taken care of the paperwork, I memorized it all. Then, while they went out for the afternoon, I found the house documents in a desk drawer. Deed, trust papers, signatures. I took photos of everything. When Emma saw me, she broke down again. "Mom, I didn't mean to. He said it was for taxes. I didn't know they'd." I took her hands. "Sweetheart, listen to me. You didn't lose your house. You just handed it to the wrong people. But I'm going to get it back." The next morning, I visited a lawyer, not theirs. An old friend of mine from the hospital days had a son who'd become a property lawyer. When I showed him the documents, he frowned. "Lisa, this transfer is invalid." My heart skipped. "What do you mean?" He leaned forward. "The trust was filed under false pretenses. The deed's transfer was notarized by someone with a known conflict of interest, Eric's cousin. That's illegal." I felt a flicker of hope. "So we can get it back?" He smiled. "Oh, we can do more than that. We can take everything they've done and hang them with it." For the next few weeks, I played my part perfectly. I visited often, acting like the doting old mother who couldn't let go of her old house. I baked cookies for the family. I smiled while they bragged about upgrading the kitchen I built with my late husband. But quietly, I was recording every insult, every time Eric said the house wasn't Emma's anymore. I gathered bank statements, photos, texts, every scrap of evidence I could find. And when the time was right, I handed everything to my lawyer. 3 weeks later, the sheriff came knocking. It was a beautiful spring morning when the squad cars pulled up. Eric's father tried to act important. "You can't come in here without." The officer cut him off. "Sir, this is a court order. The property was transferred under fraud. You have 24 hours to vacate." Eric's mother screamed. His father turned red. Eric just stared at me, that smug smile finally gone. I stood by the door, calm, holding a cup of tea. "I told you," I said softly, "this was my house." Emma ran into my arms, sobbing. "I thought I ruined everything, Mom." I kissed her forehead. "No, sweetheart. You just trusted the wrong people. But I've got enough fight left for both of us." But it wasn't over yet. I didn't just want the house back, I wanted justice. Through my lawyer, I filed a lawsuit for fraud, coercion, and emotional distress. The evidence was overwhelming: recordings, witness statements, even text messages where Eric bragged about securing the house from the old lady. When it went to court, Eric's lawyer tried to argue that Emma willingly signed the deed. But when the judge heard the recordings, Eric threatening her, his mother saying "we'll throw you out once it's ours," his face turned stone cold. He ruled in our favor immediately. Not only was the property returned, but Eric's family was ordered to pay damages and legal fees. When the ruling was read aloud, Eric turned pale. His parents stormed out of the courtroom. And I just smiled. Because sometimes, revenge isn't about rage. It's about watching evil destroy itself, legally, slowly, perfectly. After that, Emma filed for divorce. It wasn't easy. He tried to guilt her, to beg her back. But this time, she saw through him. We fixed up the house together. She painted the walls in soft colors again, planted roses out front, and even started a little bakery business from the kitchen. And me? I moved into the small guest room, where the morning sun hits the window just right. Every morning, I sip my tea, smell the roses, and remember that sometimes a mother's love isn't soft. Sometimes it's steel. You might think that's where the story ends, but fate had one more twist. 6 months later, I got a letter from a friend in town. Apparently, Eric's parents had tried the same trick on another relative, and were caught red-handed again. They lost their own house, their reputation, and their so-called family business. Eric, humiliated and bankrupt, left town. Sometimes I wonder if he ever thinks about the quiet old woman he underestimated, the one who smiled while planning his downfall. But then I remember his mother's words. "It's our family home now." And I smile. Because now, it truly is mine and my daughter's. A home built on truth, not greed. I'm 69, soon to be 70. People ask me if I regret giving my daughter the house. And I always say no. Because it wasn't the mistake that defined us, it was how we came back from it. Emma and I are closer than ever. We host Sunday lunches again. We laugh. We heal. And every time I walk by the garden, I look at the roses and whisper to myself. Never underestimate a mother who built her home with her own hands. So if you're watching this, listening to my story, I want you to remember one thing. Kindness isn't weakness. Trust isn't foolishness. But when someone takes advantage of your love, you have every right to fight back. Because revenge, my dear, doesn't always come with fire and fury. Sometimes, it comes with calm, grace, and the sound of a gavel saying, "Justice served." I still keep a copy of the old deed framed in my living room, the one I almost lost. It reminds me of my husband, of the years we built that home together, and of the daughter who learned how strong her mother really was. Life doesn't stop teaching you lessons, no matter your age. And my biggest lesson came at 69. That love can blind you. But wisdom can set you free.